I am Nancy Wesson-Dodd, President CEO of the YWCA. Welcome to the celebration of the 75th year of the YWCA Corpus Christi and the celebration of two outstanding women and a sorority, all who have made a huge impact in our community. The YWCA was founded here in 1946 by Mary Holsworth Butt, Rosa Garza, and Bernice Leonard. It was the only place in Corpus Christi at that time where Black women could gather and talk about religion or about their own ideas. The YW Teens also began at that time in Corpus Christi, and that was an integrated club for girls from all over our community. The YWCA Corpus Christi was involved in integrating the Del Mar neighborhood in the early 50s. YWCA built the first integrated swimming pool in Corpus Christi before it was legally mandated. I wasn't born then, but a few decades later, a couple of decades later, I was in the student council at Incarnate Word, and I offered to be the planner for our student council banquet. One of my student council colleagues said, "Don't worry about me going." And I said, "Why? You don't want to go?" And she said, "Well, people that are Black are not allowed to eat in restaurants in Corpus Christi." That was in the late 1960s. Well, we found that incredulous, but we found it also to be true. So we made a statement. We had our banquet that year and ensuing years in the school cafeteria because we were incensed by that. Well, the YWCA has continued through the years with the mission of eliminating racism, empowering women, and promoting peace, justice, freedom, and dignity for all. Several YW Teens will lead the Pledge of Allegiance. Then you'll learn a little bit more about YW Teens and about the fitness program.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hello, my name is Yesenia Denise Villarreal, and I am a recent Texas State University graduate. I was a YW teen 10 years ago at Driscoll Middle School. The YWCA has given me the opportunity to personally and professionally grow. I remember coming to the YWCA with my childhood best friend and being very shy. Today I can make videos for young girls to be inspired the way I was when I was a YW teen. YW Teens molds many skills young women need for the real world. From being a YW teen to now serving the Corpus Christi community, I am able to use those skills to communicate better, help the community, and impact the youth as I once dreamed I would. I appreciate everything that the YW Teens has done for me. There is nothing better than inspiring young girls to be everything they think they could never be.
YWCA is important to me because it offers so many facilities, so many things to do. Staff is very welcoming, and I enjoy spending my time here every single morning.
It means the world to me to have this opportunity to be here.
I meet a lot of people and enjoy life here.
I enjoy coming here, going into the pool for the exercises, the water aerobics and things like that.
The place is very, very, very sociable and friendly. I love the YWCA.
Why should you come to the YWCA? Great people, lovely staff, good machines. Come and have a good time. Join us.
Although Corpus Christi is not yet anti-racist as a community, and there is much more work to do, we are working together for positive changes. The YWCA shines a spotlight on these years of work side by side, alone, in the trenches, as it's so important to create awareness of the long history that brings us here today. Work of these specific women and the sorority and the YWCA is hidden in the fabric of our society. As you'll see, we've worked together bravely and boldly to bring us where we are today. Tina Butler, a Corpus Christi native, from longshoreman to charter member of the local chapter of the Texas Association of Black Personnel in Higher Education, also known as TAFE. Tina is the Director of Resource Initiatives for Del Mar College. Tina has served as an employee at Del Mar College for over 35 years. She's very influential in Taffy. She's served in numerous offices. And recently, Tina was appointed to the State Bar of Texas Grievance Committee. She's achieved education and literacy in Corpus Christi in lieu of court fees for juveniles. What an amazing difference to make. Tina Butler knows how to be edgy without becoming combative. When did you first realize that your voice should be heard?
Probably as a young child. My mother would always say that I missed my calling, that I should have went to become a lawyer. And because my brother, my father was a barber at the time. We lived on the north side of town, AKA the Cuts. And when my brother didn't comb his hair, my father would shave it off as a barber. But when we got to school, the kids would pick on him and they would hit him and stuff, so forth. And I would end up taking up for my brother. And we had a certain spot that my mother would have us wait for her to come and pick us up. And when she would come, there was always people around. She'd say, let me guess, you're doing all the talking. Like, yes, they were picking on my brother. So
And
I guess
you've kept that up.
I have. I've kept
life.
that up through my life. Yes.
What's your proudest accomplishment?
Whew. I had a young lady who I assisted at Del Mar at some time when she attended. She has now relocated back to Corpus Christi, and she is an attorney with Thomas J. Henry. And she mentioned to me how I braided her hair. She didn't know anyone in Corpus, that I did it for free, and how I made an impression on her. And so she looked me up through LinkedIn, and she said, I'm back. And she's an attorney now, so her and her family
So
has
you can
relocated.
see the effect you had
On the
years
student.
later.
Exactly.
Awesome.
And I would say as well as my daughter. She is really doing great things, in the community as well as with her job. She works with the Texas General Land Office. She's the intergovernmental relations person for the Coastal Bend. So, at a young age, because I would often tag her along with me to meetings and events, even class. When I was going for my bachelor's, she would sit in the back of the classroom, And so I guess that made an impression on her. And she's, I say, my mini me.
What historical event that you participated in made a big impact on you?
I would say the George Floyd peaceful protests. I've done.
You organized that.
Yes, ma'am. I've done several events. The Mandela Day Festival. We did that for about 4 years, but I received several calls about creating an event or an event not being held, actually. And so I said, well, we have to do something. I saw what was going on TV at the time, and there were other organizations who had events here, but I just felt the need to do that.
And I think of you as a person who sees a need. Lots of people see needs and they think about what to do and give a lot of time to it. But you see a need and you act pretty quickly, right?
Well, at least I try.
You do. You just jump right in, right?
I do. And I'm often called, and I guess, like I say, people see or know, that I help. And so I often get calls that get me to thinking about other ways of helping out in the community, and then connecting with those that I think, would be of the same vision, and seeing how we can collaborate together.
I do think of you as a connector.
Okay.
Because you always pull people together, different groups together,
yes,
in a positive way. So what would you say to girls today about the importance of sisterhood in this journey?
I would definitely say that they should become sisters, and not try to bash their sisters or look down on their sisters. Reach back, pull them up, help each other out, in time of need, and just be a listening ear, for them, or someone that they can contact, when they're doing good or when they're doing bad, but just someone to have, someone to be able to talk to, that listening ear.
And tell me about your self-perception as a community advocate. Do you think of yourself that way?
Well, in some ways, yes. In some ways, no. I guess I'm becoming more and more of an advocate. I just feel that I'm helping people out. Being a resource for them. Someone that they can go to and be able to get answers for. And if they're unable to get whatever their need is, then I feel that's the time for me to step in and see what I can do and how I can help. Mm-hmm.
Well, I am honored to be able to present you with this Community Advocate Award because you not only advocate for individuals, but you also advocate for groups of people.
Correct.
And that's so important. And you draw no distinction between the quality or the values of someone that you help. If you see a person that needs help, you are a community advocate. So congratulations and thank you for all you do for our community.
So thank you.
Stephanie Rhodes is the president of the Corpus Christi Alumni chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority, Inc. It was established in 1928, chartered locally in 1978. Locally, they give an annual textbook scholarship. They have for years organized and held a Martin Luther King interfaith service on MLK Day for the community, and it is very well attended and always looked forward to. They hold Thanks by Thanksgiving. They collaborate with the League of Women Voters and Leadership Corpus Christi alum for a candidate forum. Stephanie, what does it mean to you to be the president of the sorority?
Well, it's an awesome opportunity, but it's one that I really didn't want to do again. But it's an awesome opportunity to work in the role, to be the spokesperson and the liaison or partnering with other organizations or entities in the community. That's an awesome experience.
So tell me about the sorority and how you all have worked to enhance social justice, racial justice in our community.
I'll say, well, through our programming efforts, and that's in a variety of ways, but one that people are very familiar with is our MLK March, the annual march. And in conjunction with that, we've added several programs. We will do an interfaith prayer service that we'll have within the community. And then also we've added our social justice forum that will take different topics and provide a different spin or a form of education for discussion within the community.
And tell me about the value of the sisterhood within the sorority.
Well, there's joy in the sisterhood, and to come together with women with like mind, college-educated women, focused on service. And within our sorority, our focus is the African-American community, but we do work with and within other communities as well. But foremost is focusing within our own and then branching out to other areas in the community.
What would you tell younger girls about sisterhood and its value to them?
Well, with sisterhood, and I personally don't have any biological sisters, so for me, this is really big. I do have people that I'm close to, but you have a commonality, again, as far as your focus and being able to work beside or alongside, developing ideas and seeing those things come to fruition, and looking at the power in the numbers and the voice that brings forth as women of color in this day and time. And even at the inception of the sorority, you're talking about 1913. And so we were suffragettes. Our founders walked in that march as African-American women on that day back in 1913.
How have your collective voices made a difference in Corpus Christi in racial justice?
I would say a lot through our social action with the voter education, voter registration. We've worked with the League of Women Voters. We've done various candidates forums and collaborating not just with African-American organizations, but your Latino groups and just your community groups overall. So that, to me, speaks volumes because you have to be able to acknowledge and work with one another.
What's one or two goals that the sorority has now, currently?
Well, social action is really big now with the census being, I guess, covered in the sense of the updates with population. So now redistricting is very big and making sure that gerrymandering, that the districts are rightly represented. So we're taking that next step, wanting to be a part, or no, we are going to be a part of the redrawing of the maps within the state of Texas. And there's also a possibility, if need be, the items that happened or the situations that occurred in Georgia, if that happens in Texas, we'll be a part of the lawsuit that would go forth to correct some of those wrongs.
So you're very proactive in seeing what's out there and being prepared rather than knee-jerk
Correct.
type reactions.
And that starts from our national level with the committees and commissions and their involvements, and trickling down to the state level and then to the local level.
Well, you're very impressive as the president, but also the sorority has made huge strides in our community, even though we're not there yet. But we all have to work together to move in that direction.
Correct.
And I think you all are excellent leaders
Oh,
in
thank
that.
you.
You and the sorority sisters have made a huge impact in our community. And you've done it sometimes in the trenches and sometimes
Yes.
more outwardly.
Correct.
But all of that has been successful. So it is my honor to present you with this award, the
Thank
Legacy Award.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We gladly accept this on behalf of the Corpus Christi Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated.
Thank you. Dr. Gloria Scott has been a trailblazer all of her life. She grew up in Houston, where the public library was for whites only. As a teenager, she was instrumental in getting that changed. And when it was changed, Gloria walked every inch of that library. This gem of an organizer came to Corpus Christi on a whim. She and her late husband were traveling from North Carolina to Mexico to fish. They saw a pier in Rivera Beach and decided that they just had to have that because fishing was their greatest pastime. The rest is history, and what a blessing to Corpus Christi. President of the Girl Scouts of America, Gloria was the first Black woman to hold that position, and while there, she moved the needle. She changed their pin from one of white girls only to include brown, Black, and white girls. What an accomplishment, making a difference. She was the president of Bennett College in North Carolina for 15 years. Gloria calls Maya Angelou and Oprah Winfrey friend, and I suspect that everyone who meets Gloria can call her friend as well. She's a living legend and an inspiring woman. So Gloria, tell me how you were instrumental in getting Juneteenth to be celebrated in our country.
Well, when I was a girl growing up in Houston, Texas, we knew that Juneteenth, it was called the 19th of June, was a very special day that focused on the freedom of the slaves in the United States and the celebration of freedom. And there was the one day that was celebrated. And in Houston, there were 5 wards. First ward that was for Mexicans. Second ward was for poor whites. Third, fourth, and fifth wards were for Negroes. And in each of the wards had a park or something. In third ward, where I lived, there was Emancipation Park. And the celebration for the 19th of June was always that one day down at the Emancipation Park in third ward for us. And as I grew up and read about what preceded, read about the Civil War, the completion of the Civil War, and therefore the whole thing about the South, the North and the South, and the states from the Atlantic Ocean east, and how the slaves, when they were freed, walked away from the plantations that they were on in some cases. In most cases, some of the owners kept some of them there under some kinds of arrangements. But I knew none of this. All I knew is they walked. And in Texas, relationship to my family and Black people in Texas, I knew that I had two great uncles who were in Alabama originally when they were freed. And they walked and told us many descriptions about how they walked on their feet. They had nothing to ride in, all the way across Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, into East Texas.
And is that also part of what made you want to help make racial justice a broader concept than it used to be?
It certainly is.
What do you want to be remembered for? You've done so much.
I guess I want to be remembered, and I guess I should be giving attention to this given the age that I am. The fact that God has been kind enough to me to let me be still alive and functioning.
Well, I think it's good for all of us to think about that because it helps direct what we're doing now.
It does, but we don't always think about it. And then there comes a time when you realize you probably better think about it and maybe write it down even so people will know that that's what you are. I think I'd like to be remembered to know that I put myself, I was always honest with what I wanted to do, number one. I was an honest person who tried to probe from very little the things and be fair, however people define fair. And across, even if you didn't have money, because that was the other thing that was prevalent in Houston and Third Ward and among, people and racially, etc. But that you needed to be fair and that you should do the right thing. One of the things I was attracted to in elementary school was to join the Girl Scouts. But I couldn't because my parents didn't have the money to buy membership for me as a brownie. That was the earliest age group. And so the only time when I was 15, I got a job, my first job, at Hargett's drugstore on Dowling Street in Third Ward. And I didn't make very much money if you look back at it. But at any rate, from 3 o'clock to 11 at night. And so Mr. Hargett and his wife would have to take me home at the end of that shift. But I'd take the Dowling bus down there for it. But anyway, I saved enough money to join the Girl Scouts. And I joined as a senior Girl Scout. I have a picture of that over at Coles High School where I am the volunteer right now. And of course it was still segregated. It had a different office. The Girl Scouts, Black Girl Scouts, had a different office in a different part of town than the white Girl Scouts. And
so from the time that you were small, you were about inclusion and putting your energy and your walking and your first job wages into being involved where you could make a difference.
That's
so how
correct.
important do you think sisterhood is for girls today? What would you tell them?
I would tell them it is very important. And to be honest with each other, however, and not envious, that there's no need to envy anybody. God, and from your biology to understand that genetically you've inherited whatever you have. But your task is to know what it is and to move and do the very best that you can with it.
What a wonderful gift to give girls and younger women. And I am really proud to present to you the Lifetime Achievement Award on behalf of the YWCA as a tiny token for all you've done to make this a better society.
I appreciate this very much.
Wow. These women show us what positive vision, hope, hard work, determination, and sisterhood can do. They bring us hope and inspiration as we learn from their life stories and the work of the sorority, all of these women, and the YWCA. Clearly, progress and success are up to each one of us. Let's all get behind their work and their legacies. Donate, march, support, and converse. It's up to each of us. I'm in. Join me, for we are strong alone and fearless together.